Black money and Indian real estate. Pew, 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 pew. Let us begin. Now, what is black money? Black money is basically money which is not taxed. Now, considering the amount of people who do not pay taxes in India, I think it is safe to say that there's a shitload of black money that is generated in our country. Now, the question is, where does this black money go? So, there are three answers to that. There are more than three answers, but I'm going to be presenting three answers here. First is it goes to tax havens like Switzerland or Cayman Islands. The second theory is round tripping, that it goes from India to Mauritius, and then from Mauritius it finds its way back to India. Now, this happens because India and Mauritius enjoy a double tax avoidance treaty, and going through this route, that money actually avoids getting taxed at all. This can be verified because Mauritius is one of the biggest FDI investor in our country. And the number three reason, which is the one that we're going to be focusing more on here, is the real estate sector of our country, which in general, because of its opaqueness, finds a lot of black money being transferred and flowing through it. So those are the three reasons I'll present to you. Now, taking the real estate and black money point further, now, as we would have observed over the past decade, the real estate prices in many cities have almost increased tenfold. Now, certain questions come to one's mind when one thinks about it. That first of all, that what has fueled the massive jump in these prices? The second is the reason behind it. Is it normal demand-supply equation, or is there something else going on? And the third is, if there is black money into the sector, what is the role that the black money is playing? And what would be the consequences if black money is rooted out of the sector? So these are the questions I'm going to be answering further in this video. So the answer to the first question, which is, why have the real estate prices increased so much over the years? So in India, they have increased almost tenfold in a decade. In US, they just doubled, and it was said to be a bubble. Rhyming. So the one reason which everybody would give you is land. Since India has such a humongous population, we need land to house this population, and that is why land is always in demand. And when something is in demand, the price of that thing obviously would be high. But okay, so Ajay Shah, an economist, wrote a piece in the Economic Times which I want to bring to your attention. So he just basically did a little arithmetic which goes as follows. Now, as we all know, the population of a country is around 1.2 billion. Now, what Ajay Shah said is, if we place these 1.2 billion people in 4-person homes of 1,000 square feet each and 2 workers of the family into an office space of 400 square feet each, this would require roughly 1% of India's land. This is assuming that the FSI, Floor Space Index, is 1. So there is absolutely no shortage of land to house the great Indian population. That is the main point to take home. Now, just to make you understand what floor space index is, floor space index is basically the ratio between the built-up area and the plot area available. So if my FSI is 1 on a plot of 100 square meters, I can build up to 100 square meters only. Simply, it means more FSI, more building. That is improper English. But more my FSI, more I can build. Less FSI, less I can build. Now, housing a 1.2 billion strong population with an FSI of 1 also would take 1% of India's land. So if this FSI increases, it will take even lesser land. So think about that. Now, while you're thinking about that, let us look into the market situation here, which is basically looking at the demand and supply situation in our real estate sector. Now, if the prices are rising, that would mean that there is more demand and less supply. That this is one of the scenarios. So we are going to see whether this is true or not. So for this, there are two factors that I'm looking into. First is accumulated inventory, and the second is sales. Now, why am I looking into these factors? First is accumulated inventory, because this shows if there is any leftover inventory. If the leftover inventory is a lot, that means that not a lot of people are buying houses and there is more supply than demand. Okay? And for prices to increase, there should be more demand, less supply. A lot of accumulated inventory means more supply, less demand. So then it should mean that the prices should fall. So we'll see what the real estate sector actually is, but I'm just telling you why I've taken this as a factor. And the second factor is as sales. So if the sales are increasing consistently over a period, that means that more people are buying it, which would justify the rise in prices. But if the sales are falling and the prices are rising, that would mean that something's up. So let us just start looking into these factors. I hope that was clear. So looking into reports published by a lot of firms, you would find, first of all, that accumulated inventory is actually a lot in the real estate sector. And the second factor is that the sales have actually also declined over the past few years. Now, just looking at the Knight Frank research of 2014, you would find in one of their findings that in the major metropolitan cities of Delhi and Mumbai only, the accumulated inventory is 3.8 lakh homes. So this means that in these two cities only 3.8 lakh homes are lying empty. And if you look at the sales factor in the same report, it shows that in NCR from 2013 to 2014, sales have declined about 37%. And similar declines have been seen in Mumbai as well as Bangalore. So this basically translates into that there is accumulated inventory, and the second factor is that the sales are also falling. So which brings to mind this question that why don't these companies just lower the prices and sell off this accumulated inventory? And if they are not doing that, then how are they managing to sustain themselves? And once you look into the balance sheet of these companies, you would find out that they're actually not doing very well. Like if you look into DLF, Ansal or JP, all their balance sheet shows shitload of debt. Like DLF itself is in about 20,000 crore of debt, and it is in news for that a lot. And all the other companies are in debt. A real estate sector in totality is in like 40,000 crores of debt. It's actually way more than that. But the real estate sector is that deep in debt. So the question is that why aren't they just lowering prices and following the laws of economics and doing the right thing? What is sustaining them and just letting them go on and on and on and on and on and on and on? Like, where are they making the money? Okay. So now to answer the question of where are they getting their money and how are these real estate companies sustaining themselves even though they are in so much debt. So there are a lot of reasons. I'm going to be presenting a few. The first reason is the real estate Ponzi scheme. Now what happens in this real estate Ponzi scheme is as follows. Now suppose there's a company called Donkey Limited. Now this company has a shitload of debt, and some amount of that shitload of debt is about to mature. So then it kind of panics, and what it does is it launches a new project called Project A. Now when it launches this project, a significant amount of money is collected in advance. So whatever money is collected in advance from launching Project A, the Donkey Limited will use it to pay off their maturing debt. Now what it'll do is it'll again launch a new project called Project B, and whatever money trickles inside from this project, it'll use it in construction of Project A. So you are catching my drift here. So what happens is inevitably Project A will be delayed, and a lot of reasons like slowdown in market and project approvals and land acquisition / farmer issues, etc. given, and we see that a lot in India. Like most of the projects are never on time. If that was correct English. So similarly, to hide their ass, then they'll launch Project C and D, and you know how a Ponzi scheme works. So that is one method through which that they are sustaining themselves. Okay. So the reason number 2 is black money in real estate. So what happens here is that suppose there is a property in the market and its price is 1 crore. Now I'll go to the seller and he asks me to pay a significant portion, like 50%, that is 50 lakhs in cash, and the other 50 lakhs whichever way I want to. Now, what essentially is happening here is the 50 lakhs that I pay in cash will just be hidden from this face of earth. It will not be in any official document or anywhere, hence saving it from taxation. And the other 50 lakhs would be shown as the official price of that property. So the official price of the property would be shown as 50 lakhs and not 1 crore. So this way it is beneficial for me because I'm saving on stamp duty, and also whatever excess money I had, I'm easily able to put it in the land and hide it, and that has become black money now. And for the seller, he saves on taxation, long-term capital gains if he's planning to sell it. So either ways, it is beneficial for both parties, and these kind of transactions are rampant in our country. So basically that is how there's a significant amount of black money just bare right underneath our feet. And also, to curb this thing, government did introduce the concept of circle rates. Circle rates are basically the minimum price for a property that one needs to pay, but there is a huge gap between the circle rates and market prices. Just to give you an example, in Greater Kailash area of South Delhi, the market price would be around 5-6 lakhs per square yard, but the circle rate is about 2 lakhs. So there is a huge mismatch which doesn't really help. I don't know if it's done purposely or the government just didn't do their research properly. But anyway, that is how there's a lot of black. Okay, so my third point is an extension of my second point only. This specifically links politics to black money and real estate. So in this scenario, which is very true, politicians and builders engage in a quid pro quo. So the builders are like, come park your black money with us. And they say this to the politicians, and the politicians say, yes, okay, we will do that. And in return, they grant them licenses and make business doing easy for them. That was not proper English, I apologize. But the point should be clear. So now the Center of Global Development proved this by relating cement consumption to the election cycle in a very interesting way, which is as follows. So what they are saying is that when elections are not going on, which means that the politicians park their black money into real estate, which means that during this time there is more liquidity, and which means that the construction activity would increase, which means that there would be an increase in cement consumption. But during the times when elections are going on, politicians take out their money from the real estate sector, which means that during this time, real estate sector has less liquidity, which translates into less construction activity, which translates into decreased cement consumption. Now, this analysis was done over 17 major cities over a period of 1995 to 2010. And this theory that I just told you was proven right in each of the cases, that during election time cement consumption is less, and when elections aren't going on, cement consumption is more. So this just is a very good proof about the nexus between politicians, real estate, and black money. I mean, we all know it, but it is very hard to find evidence to suggest so, and this paper actually shows us. Okay, so the last part, which is what would be the consequences if black money is found, discovered, and taxed. Okay, so this situation is completely unique. It is not similar to the US housing crisis or housing crisis anywhere that I have read about so far, and I have not done enough research to properly conclude that what would happen if black money is rooted out of our sector. One thing that I'm convinced about is the drop in prices of property, because that is what logic suggests. Other than that, I would leave that to your imagination, and that would be it. Thank you. That was bad. Thank you.